Hey there, you purpose driven go getters, you awesome coaches, consultants, and service based online entrepreneurs. Welcome to the Collaboration Chronicles, from coffee chat to cash flow. This is the podcast and show where we spill the tea on collaborations and, of course, virtual events that actually grow your business. I'm Katie Sewick, entrepreneur coach, event strategist, and collaboration expert, and of course, your guide to building connections that truly matter. Whether you're here to brainstorm your next virtual event, listen up about other collaborations, or you just want to simply hear from these awesome, inspiring entrepreneurs who are making waves, you are in the right place. So grab your coffee or wine, I don't judge, and let's dive in, because magic happens when we stop going it alone and we start building together. Good morning, afternoon, evening. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Collaboration Chronicles. So today I have a special guest here who I had the pleasure of meeting last year in 2024 through a number of summits, and I had him on my own. We've interacted quite often since, and we've just discovered that there's just such a common passion for virtual events. And the reason I wanted to bring my guest on today is because when we're talking about collaboration, really what we're doing is we're getting away from this idea that there's competition. And Lion and I, in the traditional form of the word, might look at each other and go, "Oh, you're a threat." And that's actually not true. We have come together. We have some great ideas in mind. He's going to support me with an event I'm hosting at the end of the month. And I just thought, what a perfect opportunity to bring someone on who's in the same field as me. And we can talk today about collaboration and also just really dive into virtual events, because that's something we're both excited about. I want to hand it over to my guest. This is Lion Fludd, everyone. And Lion, I would love for you to just share with us. Tell us, who are you? What is your story? You were sharing with me that you've been on a lot of shows, you know some famous people, you've got quite the story. So share that a little bit with us, and then tell us what it is you do.
Yeah, thank you first off for the opportunity to be a part of this. And it is one of those things where I used to not share a lot of the information of kind of who I am and where I came from, because I would also get different views of people. So, for a quick example, to give the audience an idea of what it is that I have an IQ of 152, which is very high. But I
Oh,
tell people
wow.
it doesn't make it doesn't make me I'm smarter than you. I just see the world differently at certain aspects. But growing up, if you were ever to say that, show you nerdiness, if you will, people would tease you. I used to not share to people, I've been on celebrity shows and I've done this, because then they look at me differently. So that's just a little bit about that story. I'm who I am as a person. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I love my family. I will go to the ends of the earth to ensure that they are taken care of. And one little small kind of tidbit on that is when I hold my meetings, and I have my calendar that says "retire my wife" kind of meeting. so,
Yeah, that's right, you do.
so that's who I am at my core, man. I love them, and everything and anything I do is for the betterment of my family.
Love it, love it. And what I found to be so interesting in the last, I guess, year, maybe even two, is the more that I've evolved into accepting who I am as a person and really stepped into my values, and, I'm really big on integrity, the more I have attracted people into my world who are very aligned with those things. And so it's been really interesting to see that. And you're one of those people that's come in and you just have a great heart and you're here to serve. And tell us a little bit about how you've managed to find your own path in using your gifts, which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, his gifts and what he can do on the screen, pretty darn cool, if I say so myself. So tell us a little bit about you, about VCA Academy, and what got you there.
I just love, number one, life. A couple of things I always like share with my son as I tell him: live while you're alive, right? Enjoy the moments. Take your time, chew that food 20 times and savor it. And I always have this passion of learning. Even to this point right now, I recently just enrolled into Syracuse University to take some classes into business, because I wanted to but I've always wanted just to learn. And so when I first entered into the virtual space, I attended several webinars, presentations, and all of that to learn. And I found that they had one commonality for me. BPS, I labeled it, boring presentation syndrome. It, it was the same thing. It was the death of the presentation. The moment the host said, "One moment, let me share my slides." Everyone knew it was simply a slide presentation. You were just going to read it. And for me, it was almost like you could have just, this could have been an email, right? You could have just sent this. I could have read it. And so I went down this rabbit hole and this journey and said, it's got to be a more interesting way. It's got to be a different way to present, to be in a space where everyone else is, but to be different than someone else who's doing the same. And that's how I started this journey of trying to find a way to enhance the virtual presentation. And that's what you see now and everyone else is seeing. And the one thing I hear almost in every meeting that I go into or any networking kind of event in a virtual space is, we've never seen this. And I'm like, yes.
It's pretty fantastic, I have to say. And having you, I recall at the summit, the last one I held in October, I believe it was, you came in and we had all of the speakers get together. And it was fascinating because it was a networking opportunity. And you had cool things going on the screen and everyone was just captivated by this, which I think is fits so nicely with the fact that you talk about how important your virtual brand is. And you and I have had several conversations about this and what I could be doing to improve. It's a work in progress. And you just have a natural gift for knowing how to really speak as if you're in the room with someone right there. But you have your clown suit on and your balloon animals going, not literally, but similar idea. Very entertaining. So what was it that you discovered about virtual events that really had you hooked and adding the flavor that you do? How did you come into that world? The
Yeah,
fun officer that you are.
thank you. I was just about to say that, and thanks for saying that because it was my number one thing. If it's not fun, I'm not doing it. I don't want to be a part of it. It's just me. I'm a CFO, chief fun officer, right? I got the label. And when I went down this avenue, especially coming into this space where I felt at first, like for example, when I went into LinkedIn, I was like, oh, it's corporate. I got a tie and everything. And I was like, it's not who I am. They're going to accept me or they're not. And the people who come, they're going to accept because I am who I am. And I'm not being fake or anything like that. Being transparent, being authentic. And so they enjoy that. And so when I went into this academy kind of thing, as you referenced before, it was like other people are asking me this question so much that maybe they need to learn. I need to teach them how to do that. And I equate it almost to, this is your business, right? This is the window of your business. If someone's window shopping and they're walking by and they look into your store and they see that it's disheveled or the store's got shelves and stuff knocked down, they're not coming in to buy. And it's the same thing. So people have to take accountability of, when we first started into this virtual space, it was okay because everyone was just like, we don't know what to do. But now
Right.
they're like, you've been doing this for a couple of years. You mean to tell me you still have a blurry? But it also comes back down to just you. Do you care? How bad do you want to improve? You can't blame anyone else 4 years into this if your virtual background doesn't look good, whatever. So, yeah, that's where I started and why I am so passionate about just seeing others look good because you're representing yourself, you're representing your family, you're representing your brand name, all of that. So, yeah.
It's amazing. And in your world, you obviously have reached out to people. You and I connected because you were willing to reach out. What is your take on the world of collaboration and how has that worked to support you in your business?
Collaboration over competition. I'm going to say it until the sky turns blue. Wait, it is blue. So it means it's true. Okay. Yeah. And people, they're afraid of it, right? Because they figure, oh, you're going to take my money. But they don't understand that, number one, you can ask anyone who's successful. And success, it's different for everyone, right? It used to be it was just financial money. Like success. I'm very
Right.
successful, but I'm going to tell you why I feel I'm very successful because of my freedom. I have the ability. The other day, I did a video where I took my son out of school early. I was just like, I won't go take him out of school early. We went to the beach. And just had a sun dad day. But I had the ability to do that because my business it got to a point where I was able to do that. So freedom to me is successful. And it didn't come just by me working by myself. Any successful person will tell you they are not successful because they did it themselves, right? They have partnerships, they have
So
people
true.
who are working with them. And I'm going to tell you a phrase I heard a long time ago. And if anyone is listening to this, I need you to write this down, take it. If you're in the virtual space, this applies more to solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, and so forth like that. But it is lonely at the top. It is even lonelier at the laptop. Let it
Ah,
sink in. You are doing everything yourself, wearing so many different hats, stressing. Yes, though you don't want to work with someone who may be parallel to what you're doing, similar to what you're doing, because you're thinking, if I work with them, they're going to get all the money. You have to think to yourself, you're not getting any money right now, anyways, because you're stressing doing it all by yourself. Build a powerhouse, a team, the A team. Look at Hannibal, right? Look at Mr. T, all those guys. They work together.
when you think about it, in the old way of thinking, if we were looking at each other as competition, looking for outsmarting each other and trying to find the clients or what have you, it wouldn't serve either one of us, because ultimately what I really have learned is when I am able to bring you up, not bring you up, that sounds
I know what you
wrong.
mean.
When I'm able to bring you aboard with what I'm working on and vice versa, there's elements that neither one of us can
Mm-hmm.
fill without the other. I always talk about it like if you're making a pizza, you could just have the pizza by itself, or you could go and add some pepperoni, or for those of you pineapple haters, maybe throw some of that in there, whatever. But ultimately, what I've discovered in meeting you, especially, is you've brought in a whole world of understanding technology, understanding different ways that you could do things to present yourself. I specialize in helping people really plan out their events and really getting clear about their message
Yeah.
and really helping them bring it to fruition. But you add, like, it's almost like you bring the icing to the
Yeah.
cake, because it's a cake and it's delicious and it's great. But the icing, I'm telling you, is so fantastic. If we were to stay in that we're competition
Mm-hmm.
space, we'd both lose.
Yeah.
And I think when you really get into the world of collaboration and you work together, it's a powerful thing, because not only are you able to support each other, which is beautiful in and of itself, but you also gain exposure
Mm.
as a result of that through other people's audiences. I don't know. I love meeting people like you who are equally passionate, but you bring such a different
Yeah.
angle to the whole thing. And I just see in the future lots of opportunities for us to cross paths and work together.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where I've seen this relationship develop. I don't know. Do you have anything you wanted to add?
You're hitting it right on the head, and again, it's because your strengths are my weaknesses, and maybe some like vice versa of that. So you
Right.
also being in a collaborative space, you learn a little bit of what someone else has that you don't, and then you can start to apply that. And it comes down simply to your mentality of what am I doing? Is it working? If it's not working, I need to adjust it. And it's one of those things that I say in one of my kind of like quotation type of things is if you're doing something and if it works, simply do more of it. Stop overthinking. Just do more of it, get better at that. And I have this one thing that I would pose to anyone who's listening to this as well and watching this. And if you're true to yourself and you answer this question, you're going to realize that it is the way you think. I ask people to name a food that they just enjoy the most. Okay, we'll just do this hypothetically here. And let's just say someone says steak, right? Now picture yourself at a table with four people that you don't know. They're sitting, you're at the head of the table and they're sitting on the side of you. One of those people starts to just blow on your steak. Not like nasty or gross, but they just, and then you ask a person, what do you do with that steak? 99.9% of the people say, oh, I'm not eating that. I'm throwing it away. I'm not, no, why? He blew on it. I don't know him. And I say, okay. Now, same scenario. Only thing changes is the food item. Instead of a steak, it's a birthday cake. That same person blew on the candles to blow it out. What do you do? Oh, I eat it. Why? Why? The only difference was the
Interesting.
food, right? The person blew their germs on it. So it's your mentality. Society's told you it's okay to do the cake since you were a kid because, hey, that's what you're supposed to do. So if you can work on that mentality, you can work together with someone in a collaborative state to understand all I got to do is work at my mentality and things are still going to get better. Ooh, look at that. Man, that was deep for a second. Ooh.
Ooh, you went deep. I'm like, damn, I want me some steak. Where steak and cake, please. That is brilliant. And it really does take away from this silly idea that anyone's a threat. Because let's be real, you and I are two very different people, different personalities, different sets of skills.
Hmm.
So what works for one isn't going to work for the other. And I just think we get to celebrate
Yeah.
that, celebrate our differences, and go out there and share the goodness of our whatever food.
Yeah, and people are
So
going to
good.
gravitate towards one person or the other. I'm very brass. I'm
Exactly.
very straight to the point, and there's my personality isn't for everyone, right? I'm a Marine, and I'm straight to the point. Whereas you, like you said, you're more like structural. I'm not. I'm just like hit record. I don't. Where should this be at? I don't know. Let's just have fun. Whereas you're like A, B, C, D, and E,
Totally.
and your people are
Yeah.
going to who need that more are going to gravitate to that a little bit more. So yeah, it's yeah, exactly.
The other piece to this that I often talk about as well is when you are getting into the space of collaboration, networking, there has to be permission given to yourself to also not be to be what's the word, to have people repelled,
Mm.
right? So when I think about the 7 summits that I've done over the years, the first few I was just learning. I didn't really know a lot, but I did bring in people that were definitely not aligned. And it was coming from that place of, well, I'm desperate, I need speakers, but those speakers would bring in the wrong kind of people,
Yeah,
and it just creates this domino effect of everything you don't
yeah,
want. So I think that we have to be okay with, figuring out the landscape for ourselves and being like, okay, that person's just, it's not about being better than them. It's just really back to alignment. I'm not going to do business well with someone who has a different set of values because let's be real, I have a different objective than they do.
yeah,
I love that when you claim your own values and you claim your integrity and you really stand in who you are and what you stand for, then yeah, you can work with people who are similar. But yeah, I've certainly made that mistake where I've just been bringing anybody and the dog, and that ends up costing.
yeah. And it's one of those things where, especially when someone who's maybe just recently starting, you feel, and we've all done it. I've done it occasionally, every once in a while, I still do it. But when you feel like I can't turn away business, I'm just starting. I need every type of money. I can't.
Right.
I don't want to niche down. I want to talk to everyone. But as time goes, you start to say, "Hey, I want to be with people." So, for example, when I started my coach, we had this book, and there was 5 non-negotiables we would have to do. I still haven't found my other two. I think I'm just sticking with the three. But one of my non-negotiables was, and still is, I will not work with anyone who takes my peace. No one. I don't care how much money you want to offer me.
Mm.
My peace, being enjoyable in this atmosphere works for me. It helps me out stronger. So I will have moments where someone says, "Hey, let's have a one-on-one. Let's meet. Let's talk." And they don't answer some questions. I'll say, "Hey, you didn't answer these questions on my calendar. Oh, I don't feel like I need to do that. We don't need to do a meeting." I will tell people I don't want to meet with you. Or even if we're in a conversation and someone is trying to maybe veer off the conversation in their meeting to start pitching me their idea or whatever, we were just supposed to talk about
Oh.
collaboration, I hold it up. I do. I quickly,
Stop.
and that's like that personality, right? That may not work for other people, but then I'll go, "Hey, you know what? I appreciate it. We're here for this. Let's go back to that and not go down this alley," kind of a thing. But sometimes I'm, like I said, I'm brass. I'm the person that's going to tell you, "Hey, stop." Other people will let them talk for 45 minutes, and then that drains their energy, and they didn't even accomplish what the meeting was about. So yeah, it's just a couple of little quick things, little tips inside there. But yeah, you're absolutely right, man.
Because you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. You don't want to but then what you end up doing is you're going to say
Hmm.
no. So you just say, yeah, maybe I'll follow back later. And I hate it when people do that to me. So I'm really working on that piece. So I love that you said that because that's the reality. And since we're on that topic, I would love to explore this angle because I feel like a lot of people who are in the space of collaborating feel a little bit confused about what the question they might be asking themselves is, how do I have this collaborative relationship with somebody and not have an ulterior motive?
Right.
When in reality, we're all in business. We do have an ulterior motive ultimately. But how might you say, from your experience, that you would work around that and let people know that pitching to me within 5 minutes of the conversation is not okay? But how do people move forward without doing that? I'm just curious from your perspective how that would
Yeah.
look.
So from where I look at it, my perspective is like you said, everyone has that motive of we're in business, we all will make money. So
Right.
if you're very upfront and just tell people, hey, if this relationship, and it doesn't always have to be 50-50, right? Sometimes it's going to be 60-40, just like in a relationship in life, right? Your partner, sometimes it's never people. I'm not even going down there, but it's never fifty
Yeah.
fifty. Sometimes I'm sick and it's
It
eighty
never.
twenty, whatever. So it's same in business, right? As long as we can see a avenue that this can improve, then it's okay. Because if our collaboration, you're making, let's say it runs at 100K for the year, we do this, and you get 60 and 40. Am I still upset that I got 40% of 100K when I wouldn't have got zero of it if I didn't collaborate with you? Right. So my mentality is all about the
Right.
future. What is this rolling? And who knows, maybe at some point it gets reversed because now you come on my platform or vice versa. But the main thing is you're also, number one, any kind of positivity come from it. I'm getting practice. I'm getting exposure also to a different audience. And maybe that audience, your audience doesn't become my audience, but they hear someone that says, look, hey, you know what, Fred, there's a gentleman who you're rugged, you're brass, you're straight to the point. I think you might. And so they introduced me to someone else down the line. So it's about building
Yes.
a funnel of team, a funnel of people who can say one day, oh, I heard this. You should go talk to Katie because she's very like down the line with it. So that's the way I look at it. As long as you can see a vision of where this can
Mm.
grow and you're not feeling like you're being taken advantage of, because you're very upfront. Hey, we all want to make money. Let's find a way to make it together. I think it works.
I love how you position that because I think we do get it's funny because we can get very fixated on the outcome, which is make money, that we forget there's a million ways to get there. And what you're saying is let's remember that every time you're having and establishing a relationship with someone and you're meeting with this person and the other person, it really is a web. The endless amount of people. I met you through Matt Travis. Isn't it fascinating because Matt brought you on for
Mhm.
his event and then I was helping him with that event. So I got to see your information. I got to know a little bit about you. I watched your training and then I was like, I think I like this guy. I'm going to bring him onto my event. And really what this does is I will be serving people for a very long time to come to help them build events. Guess who I'm going to ask to bring in to teach on certain things or if they want some help so they can really pop out from the crowd, guess where I'm going to send them. So it created this beautiful synchronicity in business where neither you or I are looking at each other going, where's my money? Because we're collaborating and creating this opportunity. And I just love that energy. And I have to say, over the last few years doing summits, my favorite thing in all of my things that I've done in my business has been building up this beautiful network of people. And now I just have this amazing list of what I like to call top tier, best in the world experts on all the different areas. So if people are looking for that, they can come to me and not only can they trust me, but they know that I'm bringing people that can be
Yeah.
trusted, right? So
Yeah.
it's just beautiful. Anyway, I could talk about this all day long, which is probably why we have a podcast called the Collaboration Chronicles. Before we bring it to a close, I would love if you could share, because most of us in the online space are in virtual
Yeah.
business, let's be real. What would be your top 3 tips for people in this virtual space to improve their presence on the screen
Okay. I
online?
love it. I love it. I love it. I'm going to try to whittle it down because I've got so many, but I'm going to say,
Oh, I'm sure.
and then I'm going to give you an analogy to go with it because to create a story, but more than just a story, a cinematic story. That's my focus, right? Everyone's going to tell you just facts tell, stories sell, which is true. Cinematic stories sell even more. And the reason why I can tell you that for sure is because when you look at a a singing show, Idol, you look at The Voice, even if it's another country, they all have a person that they eventually tell their story of how they struggled and now they're at the stage to sing. And it makes you bond with that singer even more, right? They could just simply let everyone just come up and sing next, 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 but they incorporate a story so that people then bond to them. So if you can share your story in your pitch and your presentation, people will say, "Oh my goodness, I want to." People buy you more than they buy the product. So that's number one. Create a story, right? Create something that's going to draw the people in. The second one is you have to work at the way you speak. And a quick tip on that, 4 steps. Number one, grab your phone, record yourself talking about something you love. Doesn't matter. Don't write a script down. Just record yourself 5 minutes. Then plug in some earphones, listen to yourself, but don't watch it. I just want you to hear the tonality, hear your story, because then you say, ooh, is that how I really sound? That's how the people hear me? Wow. So don't watch your face, just listen. Then reverse it. Take the earphones out, put it on mute, watch the video. So then you can look and say, is that how my face looks when I'm talking for 5 minutes? Am I slouching like that really? Because that's how people see you. And then the last is get a transcript type of a thing, put that video in there so you can hear how many word fillers you're using. Some word fillers are great, but if you're every sentence, so that translates into the confidence portion of your video. If you're not confident, and you may think you are, but you're not, it's all about what people perceive us. So if they're perceiving that you're not confident, then how am I going to give you X amount of dollars if you don't believe it yourself, really? That's the last one. And then, or the second one, and the last one I'm going to say is get a mentor. Get someone who's in that space, who has been there with you. You can do it by yourself. This is going to take you longer. I tell my clients, everything I show you, you can learn it in 18 hours on YouTube, or you can pay me to teach you in 2 hours. What's more important to you?
So true. So true. I love that. I hope all of you wrote those three things down because they're so powerful. The story part, I've been hearing that since I started my business about how powerful that is. That really is
Yeah.
what makes us human. And it creates that
Yeah.
relatability factor, right? Like people actually are like, oh, I know what that feels like, or I can imagine that must have been hard, or whatever, and how we've
You know
overcome
what?
those. I
And
love that.
if
That's such a
anyone,
great
really
tip.
quick, and I know we're wrapping up, but really quick, I can give a quick example
Yeah.
because I know some people will still say, "Oh, I don't know what he's talking about." How? And so, for an example, when I'm in networking meetings or in meetings, I will hear people when they go to do their intro. They will tell everything what their business does, but they don't tell how it helps the person. So I'll give you an example of
Oh,
how I do mine, and for most of, and it changes depending on what event I'm in and who I'm doing it. But the basis of it is something very similar to this, right? I will say, they'll say, "Lion, tell your story or tell your pitch," and I'll go, you know what? But I think maybe a week and a half ago, I was going to a meeting and I was on an elevator, and this gentleman got on the elevator with me. He was on the phone. He was frantic talking about how next week he had a virtual presentation and he just didn't know what to do. And he was going like crazy. He didn't know where to reach out to. And I'm chomping at the bits because I was like, that's what I do. That's what I do. I help people with their virtual events. And I was like, should I get him off the phone? Should I stop him? And ding, the elevator opened up. He started to walk off. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lion Flood. What I did just then is I created a visual story. People could picture the person coming on the elevator. They could picture him being frantic on the phone, right? And by doing that story, I still told you who I was, who I served, and how I do it. Instead of just my company does this and we do this and we do this, and people have heard it, they're tired of it. Your story is like
totally.
a trailer inviting them to the movie. My pitch is the trailer inviting them to meet with me later one on one so I have more time to tell them what I do. Man, I'm good. I don't know if anyone noticed. I'm good.
Boom, Lion. Wow, mic drop right there. What a perfect way to bring it all together. Now, where can people, I will have some information in the show notes, but where can people find you easiest if they're like, I need
Yeah.
this guy?
LinkedIn is my primary source. YouTube is my second. You can look me up under my name, and the
Okay.
simplest thing is there. And that's another thing, too, people. Stop telling people five, six, seven, eight places to find you. You confuse them. They don't need your email and every social media. I'm on every social media at this place. Give the two places they can find you in an email. That's it.
That was tip number 4, ladies and gentlemen. That was a bonus tip for you just for hanging in here with us. All right. Thank you so, so much, Lion, for, again, just being willing to come aboard and chat with me. And hopefully lots of people will listen in and get great value. Everything we talk about, I feel like we could talk all day long. But thank you, everyone, for watching. And make sure you tune back in for next week at the Collaboration Chronicles. Bye for now.